There are people who possess a different spiritual energy, a vibration that cannot be learned or imitated. It's something that is simply there, forming part of their deepest essence. If you've ever felt that your way of experiencing the world is different, that there's something about you that doesn't fit with the conventional wisdom, then stay until the end, because what you discover could explain many of your experiences. Having powerful spiritual energy has nothing to do with complicated mystical practices or supernatural abilities. It's an innate quality that manifests itself in the way you relate to others, how you perceive your surroundings, and the silent impact you make simply by existing. This energy is not something you possess, but something you are, a frequency that your being emits naturally. The fascinating thing is that this special energy operates beyond words or actions. It works on a more subtle level, where connections are established effortlessly, where transformation occurs without specific techniques or methods. It's as if you had access to a language that is not heard with the ears, but felt with the whole being. Today we're going to explore 5 telltale signs that you possess this powerful spiritual energy. Signs you may have noticed, but haven't been able to interpret. The first sign that you possess powerful spiritual energy manifests itself in something extraordinary that happens without your making the slightest effort. Your mere presence transforms those around you. It's not about what you say or do, but what you radiate naturally, like an invisible field that extends beyond your physical body and interacts with the environment. Have you noticed that when you enter a room, something changes? People who were tense begin to relax. Superficial conversations suddenly acquire unexpected depth. Someone who seemed closed off begins to open up and share thoughts that they don't usually express. And all this happens without you having said a single word, without you having tried to direct or control anything. This transformation has nothing to do with social charisma or learned communication techniques. It is deeper and more authentic. You don't force them to change. Simply, your presence creates a safe space where they can be more authentic. In other words, people feel comfortable in your presence. Often, people you barely know confide their most personal stories in you, as if they've found in you a refuge where they can let their guard down without fear of judgment. It's not that you're especially curious or that you ask the right questions. It's that something in your energy communicates. You can be yourself here. And that silent invitation is a rare luxury in a world where most people live with masks on. Children and animals are often especially sensitive to this quality of yours. They look at you with a different attention. They approach you naturally, without the reservations they show to others. It's no coincidence. They, who have not yet developed as many filters as adults, can more directly perceive the quality of your energy. The fascinating thing about this sign is that it requires no effort on your part. In fact, when you try to force it or use it consciously, it loses its power. It works precisely because it's authentic, because it emanates naturally from who you are, not from what you try to project. Your energy doesn't seduce or manipulate. It simply invites a more honest, more present way of being. This transformative capacity has a deep root, your own internal coherence. Even if you are not perfect, which, by the way, no one is, there is an alignment between what you feel, think, and express that generates a stable energy field. You have learned to achieve it. This stability acts as an anchor for those who live in constant emotional and mental fluctuation. By your side, they find a point of reference that allows them to rebalance. The effect you have on others can manifest itself in a variety of ways. Sometimes, someone who was confused finds clarity after talking with you, even if you haven't given them concrete advice. Other times, an agitated person calms down in your presence without you having tried to calm him down, or someone who always seems distant shows unexpected vulnerability when they are around you. This sign also explains why some people sometimes distance themselves from you for no apparent reason. Your energy in creating spaces of authenticity can be uncomfortable for those who are not prepared to see themselves clearly. It's not your responsibility. Your energy simply amplifies what's already there, and not everyone is ready to face it. Over time, you learn to recognize this power without identifying with it. You understand that it is not something you should control or direct, but a natural quality that flows through you. Your task is not to use it strategically, but to allow it to express itself freely while maintaining your center. This transformative ability is a gift, but it also carries with it a responsibility to keep your own energy clear and balanced, because what you radiate affects those around you. It's not about becoming some kind of healer for everyone, but rather honoring this gift by being true to your essence, allowing your presence to be that space where others can remember parts of themselves they may have forgotten. The second telltale sign of your powerful spiritual energy manifests itself in an extraordinary sensitivity that allows you to grasp dimensions of reality that most people don't perceive. It's as if you have an internal radar calibrated to detect the subtleties that escape common attention, the invisible currents that flow beneath the surface of appearances. You walk into a place, and while everyone seems comfortable, you notice something isn't right. It can be as subtle as a change in emotional temperature, a mismatch in the pace of conversation, or a tension that no one mentions, but that you clearly feel in the air. You can't explain it with logic, but your body registers it as a certainty. There's something else going on there. This refined perception also extends to people. You may be talking to someone who is smiling and saying the right words, but you sense sadness beneath their animated expression, or notice that their words don't match how they really feel. It's not that you're consciously analyzing their body language. It is an instant reading that occurs at a more intuitive than rational level. In his research on consciousness, Grinberg proposed that there is a shared neuronal field where information flows beyond the five senses. Perhaps some people have more direct access to this field, a kind of natural attunement to information frequencies that others don't pick up. This heightened sensitivity is not imagination or magical thinking. It's a different way of processing the information around you, an ability to integrate signals so subtle that they go unnoticed by most. Small variations in tone of voice, micro-expressions that last fractions of a second, almost imperceptible changes in the energy of a space. Your nervous system records all of this and translates it into clear perceptions. You have often experienced premonitions that later prove to be confirmed, not as supernatural predictions, but as an accurate reading of trends that were already underway, but that only you could detect. You sense when a friendship is starting to deteriorate before there are obvious signs, or you sense trouble in a project when everything seems to be going well on the surface. It's not divination, it's refined perception. This ability can manifest itself in very concrete ways in your everyday life. You know when someone isn't being truthful? Even if you can't pinpoint why, you sense the emotional atmosphere of a meeting as soon as you walk in, picking up on the interpersonal dynamics underlying the visible interaction. You notice changes in the energy of a place after something significant has happened there, even if no one has told you about it. At first, you may have doubted these perceptions, especially when others didn't share them or dismissed them. Maybe you were told you were overly sensitive or that you imagined things. But over time, life has shown you that what you felt was real, that inexplicable discomfort or that intuitive certainty had a basis, even if you couldn't prove it at the time. Living with this sensitivity has its challenges. Sometimes you feel overwhelmed by the amount of subtle information you pick up, especially in highly stimulating environments or in large groups. You may perceive other people's stress, anxiety, or sadness as if it were your own, without the protective filters that most people have. Naturally, you have had to learn to distinguish which emotions belong to you and which are reflections of your environment. You have also discovered that not everything you perceive needs to be expressed or acted upon. There is wisdom in knowing when to share these perceptions and when to keep them to yourself, when to act on them and when to simply observe. This discretion is not self-censorship, but rather respect for other people's processes and the timing of each situation. Over time, you have learned to trust this sensitivity as a valid and valuable form of knowledge. It does not compete with rational thought, it complements it. Your refined perception provides you with information that ordinary senses and logical analysis cannot grasp, enriching your understanding of the world and allowing you to navigate it with an expanded awareness of its multiple dimensions. The third sign that reveals your powerful spiritual energy manifests itself in a deep and non-negotiable need. You need moments of solitude to regain your energy balance. It's not just a matter of liking to be alone or social introversion. It's a necessity as vital as breathing, a fundamental requirement for your energy field to restore itself and return to its natural frequency. After spending time in groups, in crowded places, or even after intense conversations with just one person, you feel a sense of exhaustion that goes beyond physical tiredness. It's as if something inside you has dissipated, as if you've given away part of your essence in every interaction. This feeling has nothing to do with boredom or disinterest in others. In fact, it can happen even after encounters you thoroughly enjoyed. What you are experiencing is a real, energetic emptying. Your naturally receptive vibrational field unconsciously absorbs energies. Like a sponge, you pick up on the emotions, thoughts, and moods of those around you. This energetic porosity that in part fuels your ability to deeply understand others also comes at a cost. You need time to process and release everything you have unintentionally absorbed. Solitude then becomes a sacred space of purification. It is not isolation or rejection of the world. It is a time of restoration where your energy is refocused, where foreign frequencies dissipate, and you recover your essential vibration. In those moments of stillness, something inside you reorganizes. It's as if your energy system were undergoing a deep cleansing, removing interference and regaining clarity. Even when you love someone deeply, you need these moments of retreat. Not because the relationship is problematic or because you dislike the other person, but because your energetic nature requires these periods of solitude to maintain its integrity. Have you noticed that when you don't respect this need, you start to feel irritable, confused, or strangely distant, as if you've lost touch with a fundamental part of yourself? In a world that values constant hyperconnectivity and endless productivity, your need for solitude can be misinterpreted. Perhaps you've been called antisocial, selfish, or even arrogant for setting these boundaries. But what others don't understand is that these retreat spaces are precisely what allows you to be fully present for them afterward, offering a quality of care and connection that would be impossible without these restorative periods. The way you recharge your energy can vary. For some, like me, a solitary walk in nature is enough, where the natural rhythm of the trees, water, or wind helps restore their frequency. Others need their own physical space, a room or corner where no one else enters, where they can breathe without the energetic influence of others. Some find this reconnection in contemplative activities such as meditation, writing, or simply silently gazing at the sky. Sometimes all you need is silence, a space where you don't have to respond, adapt, explain, or please, where you can simply be without filters or masks, allowing your energy to expand naturally without the subtle contractions that occur when you are in the presence of other energy fields. During these periods of solitude, you often experience surprising mental clarity. Ideas that seemed confusing suddenly make sense. Emotions that were tangled up begin to clearly differentiate. Decisions that seemed complex become obvious, not because you've been analyzing them like crazy, but because by recovering your energy center, you access an inner wisdom that is always there, but is overshadowed by the noise of other energies. For you, solitude is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not absence, but total presence with yourself. It is in these spaces where you regain contact with your core, where you remember who you are beyond roles, expectations, and social adaptations. This reconnection doesn't just benefit you. When you return to the world after these periods of recharging, you bring with you a quality of presence that positively impacts those around you. Honoring this need for solitude is not a whim or a weakness. It is an act of energetic self-care, a form of responsibility toward yourself and others. Because only from a restored energy field can you offer the world that transformative presence that, as we saw in the first sign, is one of the most valuable gifts of your powerful spiritual energy. So far, we have explored 3 signs that reveal your special energetic nature. I would like to know if these signs resonate with your personal experience. Have you identified with any of them? Which of these 3 signs have you experienced most intensely in your life? Share your experience in the comments if you'd like, and if you still don't feel identified, that's okay. We're still missing 2 signs. The 4th sign that your powerful spiritual energy manifests in something truly extraordinary: your ability to transform environments and situations without conscious effort. It's not simply about having an effect on individuals, as we saw in the first sign, but about something broader and more encompassing that affects entire spaces, group dynamics, and seemingly stagnant circumstances. Have you noticed that when you enter a room where there is tension, something changes in the atmosphere? Not because you intervene or say reassuring words, but simply by your presence. It's as if your energy field emits a frequency that invites the natural harmonization of conflicting elements. Conversations that were blocked begin to flow, rigid perspectives become more flexible. The air itself seems to become lighter. This environmental transformation occurs because your energy does not operate from imposition, but from resonance. You don't force changes, you don't impose directions, you simply hold a vibration that allows imbalances to readjust themselves. It's comparable to what happens when you introduce a clear musical note into an environment with discordant sounds. You don't eliminate the other sounds, but you offer a reference that naturally invites harmonization. Many times you are not even aware of this effect until someone points it out. You may have heard things like, "Things work differently when you're there," or "The meeting changed completely after you arrived." These comments aren't just social compliments. They're intuitive acknowledgments of your energetic impact on your surroundings. The fascinating thing about this sign is that it doesn't require you to hold positions of formal authority or be the center of attention. In fact, you can sit quietly in a corner, participating little in the conversation, and yet your presence is acting to transform the environment. It is your vibrational quality, not your external actions, that generates change. This transformative capacity also extends to stagnant or problematic situations. Perhaps you've experienced how seemingly blocked projects begin to move forward when you get involved, or how seemingly unsolvable conflicts unravel in your presence. This doesn't happen because you have magic answers or brilliant strategies. It happens because you have good energy. It's that simple. Over time, you have begun to notice patterns in how this ability operates. There are physical spaces that seem to respond especially well to your energy, visibly transforming when you spend time in them. There are types of situations where your impact is more evident, such as moments of crisis, creative spaces, or environments where emotional communication is central. This transformative quality also carries with it a responsibility. By realizing the impact your energy has on the environment, you begin to become more aware of your own internal state. You've learned that when you're off-center, agitated, or unbalanced, that state also transmits to others. Therefore, cultivating your own inner clarity is not only an act of self-care, but also a form of responsibility toward the spaces you inhabit. The transformation you bring about is not always comfortable or enjoyable for everyone. Sometimes your presence triggers necessary changes that may feel uncomfortable at first. Hidden conflicts may come to the surface. Unspoken truths may emerge. Dysfunctional dynamics may become evident. This isn't because you're problematic. It's because it's hard to hide something from someone who's taken their perception to the next level. On the other hand, you have learned not to take personal responsibility for all the reactions your energy causes in your surroundings. You understand that your role is not to control these effects, but simply to maintain your own energetic integrity and allow each situation to respond according to its own nature and need. The fifth telltale sign of your spiritual energy manifests itself in a fascinating phenomenon. You attract experiences and people that are accurate reflections of your internal evolution. Your external life is constantly reorganizing itself to align with your internal transformations, as if the universe were responding precisely to changes in your energy frequency. Have you noticed that when you experience an inner awakening, a deep understanding, or an emotional release, it doesn't take long before your external reality begins to reflect that change? People who vibrate in tune with your new frequency sometimes appear in your life in such unexpected ways that they seem orchestrated by a higher intelligence. Opportunities that resonate with your most recent truth often present themselves without you seeking them out. This synchronization between your internal and external world operates as a principle of energetic resonance. Just like a tuning fork vibrates another tuning fork of similar frequency without touching it, your vibrational field naturally attracts experiences, people, and circumstances that share similar qualities. This attraction phenomenon also works as a cleansing mechanism. As you evolve, whatever is no longer aligned with your new vibration begins to naturally dissolve from your life. Relationships that were once central may begin to drift apart. Projects that seemed important can lose their appeal. Places you used to frequent may no longer feel comfortable. These departures are not failures or losses. They are natural adjustments that create space for what is more in alignment with your current truth. It's as if your energy field were performing an automatic cleansing, freeing you from connections that no longer nourish your evolution and paving the way for those that will. Have you experienced how periods of intense internal transformation are sometimes followed by moments of apparent emptiness? People move away, situations end, and for a while it may seem like nothing new is coming. These intervals are not punishments or mistakes. They are necessary spaces of integration where your energetic system stabilizes at its new frequency before beginning a new cycle of resonant attraction. The quality of what you attract becomes increasingly refined as you progress along your path. You are no longer satisfied with superficial relationships or experiences that only stimulate your senses. You instinctively seek connections that have depth, authenticity, and transformative potential. And the most interesting thing is that these connections seem to find you as if your energy were emitting a silent signal that only those who can respond to it perceive. This principle of resonant attraction operates beyond conscious desire. It's not about visualizing what you want or repeating affirmations. It works at a more fundamental level. What you truly are at your energetic core is what determines what comes to you. That's why you've found that trying to force certain situations or relationships against the grain of your inner truth never works in the long run. You have learned to recognize the signs of authentic resonance when something or someone is truly aligned with your current energy. You feel it as an expansion, a sense of inner space, a clarity that needs no rational justification. Your body knows it, your energy recognizes it, even before your mind can analyze it. You have also developed a sensitivity to detect what is out of sync with your frequency. You feel it as a subtle contraction, a feeling of effort, a need to convince yourself that it's okay when a deeper part of you knows it isn't. This ability to discern energy has become your most reliable compass for navigating decisions and relationships. Life has become more fluid, more organic. You have stopped chasing and learned to allow, not because you have become passive, but because you have discovered that your energy works best when you do not interfere with its own natural intelligence. Your task is no longer to control the results, but to keep your frequency clear and trust the process of attraction. This signal has profound implications for how you navigate the world. You understand that every meaningful encounter, every opportunity that resonates with you, every synchronicity that appears on your path is not a coincidence, but an energetic causality. They are accurate reflections of your own state of consciousness, mirrors. This continuous dance between your inner and outer world is one of the most revealing manifestations of your powerful spiritual energy, constantly reminding you that you are in constant conversation with a universe that responds precisely to the deepest frequencies of your being. If you've recognized these signs in yourself, perhaps for the first time you're putting a name to experiences you've always had, but have never been able to fully explain. Perhaps you feel relieved to discover that you are not imagining things, that those subtle perceptions and effects you generate in your environment are real and have an energetic explanation. And most importantly, you are not alone in this particular way of experiencing life. Possessing powerful spiritual energy doesn't make you better than anyone else, but it does make you different. This special energy you carry is not accidental. It has a purpose. Although that purpose may gradually reveal itself throughout your life, you are not here to fit into predefined molds, nor to dim your light, to make others feel comfortable. You are here to vibrate at your authentic frequency, allowing your energy to naturally transform what is ready to be transformed. Trust your energy, honor its uniqueness, learn to care for it as the precious gift it is, and above all, allow it to express itself authentically, without forcing or repressing it, because it is in that natural and fluid expression where its greatest transformative power lies. A power that not only changes your own life experience, but also quietly touches all those privileged enough to cross your path. And although I haven't met you, I do have the privilege of continuing to have your company. I say goodbye, thanking you for sharing these minutes with us, thanking you for allowing us your presence, and may all the good in the world reach you. See you soon.